The essential keys, in my opinion, to a successful relationship, which also applies to friendships subject to appropriate boundaries, are objective fairness in all things to each other and oneself, which must be considered from both the partner's perspective on their terms as well as your own truth, and honesty in all things both between each other and with oneself. I suggest that these two concepts usually are present almost automatically, as a consequence of an honest intention to care, where unconditional love is felt by both for each other. These concepts are what then build other required features such as trust, communication, connection, understanding, and so on. In my opinion, the two conditions above are the only ones essential to a successful relationship. They are also absolutely essential for the long-term survival of the relationship. You might note at this point that I do not mention monogamy. I would suggest that where these principles exist, it is possible for a relationship to permit non-monogamous relations, based on passion, lust, and companionship or connection, as opposed to true unconditional love. In your situation, the other partner in the relationship needs honesty and fairness as well as an honest level of care for them from you. This would include your understanding, as best you can, of how they might be affected by and see the situation from their perspective. It is possible that, after any initial shock, they may want to participate in or be open to a similar arrangement as yours for themselves once they understand that such relations are not based on love but rather lust, connection, and passion alone. It is unlikely the loss of connection that gives rise to these situations is being felt by only one person in the relationship, just as it is unlikely that the cause for such a loss of connection, whatever is missing, is unlikely to be only honestly felt by one. The final advice I would give is that it is important not to mistake loss of connection in a damaged relationship for a loss of love. Also, equally important, avoid mistaking connection in an extra-monogamous relationship for love. I would suggest it usually isn't love and is mere connection, however strong, although it may seem to be. This is especially the case when the extra-monogamous connection is making up for lost connection in the fundamental relationship with the primary partner. Connection in your primary relationship can be re-established when the first two principles are present. If you can achieve the first two principles absolutely each for the other, then you likely have true unconditional love. Don't waste it, disrespect it, or lose it. In my personal experience, my first partner and I managed to make this work in almost all aspects of our relationship for 19.5 years without ever understanding that this was what we were doing. This includes surviving multiple breaks in monogamy that were denied by us both on several occasions, even though we knew our partner knew the truth. My biggest mistake was confusing loss of connection with loss of love when individual depression and difficult external factors impacted on our relationship. We never fought about anything until the very end when we made that mistake. What we had was true honest care for each other born of unconditional honest love. This is when you almost automatically consider the interests and perspective of the other at all times.